Number 1. Clone Trooper Phase 2 Galactic Republic. The first generation of stormtroopers weren't actually stormtroopers, they were clones from Jango Fett, a Mandalorian bounty hunter whose combat skills, instincts, loyalty, unshakable discipline, and brutality made him the perfect template. Their first real test was on Geonosis, the opening battle of the Clone Wars. Phase 1 clones were dropped into chaos, fighting alongside Jedi who had never led an army before. They stormed fortresses, carried out precision strikes, and changed the role of the Jedi overnight from peacekeepers to generals. But that was just the start. As the war dragged on, the clones evolved, they hardened, and Phase 2 was the reflection of that change. The clean, prototype aesthetic of Phase 1 was gone. Phase 2 had a more human-looking helmet with improved visibility, life support, and built-in comlinks. Their torso plating was tougher, and for the first time, clones could personalize their gear. But the real change wasn't cosmetic, it was psychological. These clones had seen it all, from the battles on Umbara, Rylith, Kamino, and Geonosis. Some, like the 501st and the 212, had fought non-stop for years under Jedi leadership, forming real bonds, even friendships. They began giving themselves names like Rex, Cody, Fives, Echo, and this evolution made Order 66 hit harder, because these were brothers who had bled beside Jedi, joked with them around campfires, saved their lives 100 times, and still turned on them when the time came. The Jedi never saw it coming. Why would they? They trusted them. The tragedy of Phase 2 isn't in the betrayal, it's in the fact that it was personal, by people who once called the Jedi family. Number 2. TK Troopers. Before the Empire mass-produced stormtroopers, there were the TK Troopers, the missing link between clone troopers and the Imperial war machine. These soldiers represent the Empire's earliest steps in phasing out clones and replacing them with human recruits. TK Troopers wore early stormtrooper armor, slightly bulkier, with tighter visors and stiff movement. They weren't as agile as clones, and they definitely didn't have the same discipline, but they had something the Empire valued more than skill: blind loyalty and total obedience. They weren't bred for war. They were brainwashed volunteers from across the galaxy, often trained on facilities like Rampart's program on Kamino or newer bases on planets like Daro. The saddest part was that the clones knew they were being replaced. Some of them trained TK troopers, others were executed when they refused. In the Bad Batch, Clone Force 99 witnesses this shift firsthand. TK troopers began replacing clones on key missions. Training becomes less about brotherhood and more about discipline. Morale among clones dropped, while TK units grew in number. TK troopers marked the death of the clone army and the birth of the faceless stormtrooper. They weren't the best, but they were easy to control, and for the Empire, that was more than enough. Number 3. Imperial Stormtrooper Galactic Empire. When the Republic became the Empire, the armor stayed the same, but the men inside it didn't. Imperial Stormtroopers were the Empire's new breed. They were ordinary humans, recruited and shipped across the galaxy in greater numbers than ever before. Imperial troopers wore glossy plastoid armor, with a redesigned helmet that could filter toxins, provide HUD support, and help them hide their identity. The sight of white armored troopers patrolling marketplaces and docking bays became a symbol of fear and compliance. Soon they were used everywhere, from controlling civilians on Lothal, to massacring rebels on Jedha, to guarding Imperial officers across the Outer Rim. They just needed to outnumber and overwhelm the enemies. It's a tactic that worked brilliantly for years, until it didn't. What made the Imperial Stormtroopers so terrifying is that they weren't clones. They were regular people who believed they were the good guys. That's what the Empire was best at, not creating monsters, but turning ordinary citizens into them. Number 4. Scout Trooper Galactic Empire. Scout Troopers are built for speed. They are fast and deadly from a distance. Forget marching formations. These guys sped through forests, patrolled rocky terrain, and scanned the horizon long before the enemy arrived. You'll recognize them by their slimmer armor, black undersuits, and lightweight helmets designed for range visibility and targeting with slimmer visors. These were specialists sent ahead alone or in small units to observe, or eliminate targets long before the main force arrived. Scout troopers were trained to ride 74Z speeder bikes at ridiculous speeds, 500 km per hour. Their most famous appearance was on the forest moon of Endor in Return of the Jedi. They navigated terrains at speeds that left no room for error. One wrong move meant slamming into a tree at 500 km per hour. You know how that's gonna end. They carried blaster pistols for close encounters, and in Battlefront 2, Scout Troopers had sniper-class rifles for long-range kills. All that speed came with sacrifice. Scout Troopers weren't built for heavy combat. Their armor couldn't absorb much damage, and in face-to-face combat, they often relied on quick reflexes and hit-and-run tactics rather than brute force. But in the wild, When the terrain was rough and the mission depended on stealth and agility, the Empire sent in scouts. Number 5. Death Trooper, Galactic Empire. Death Troopers are the ghosts in black armor. They are ranked over standard stormtroopers as the Empire's elite enforcers who are deployed only for classified missions, top-level assassinations, and VIP protection. They didn't answer to squads or battalions. They answered to Imperial intelligence and sometimes Darth Vader himself. Their armor was matte black with modified stormtrooper gear equipped with advanced targeting systems, encrypted comms, and terrifying voice scramblers that made them sound like machines. They moved in formation, communicated in static, and executed targets. Fun fact, they never missed. Death Troopers protected high-value targets like Krennic, Moff Gideon, and Black Site operatives from the Tarkin Initiative. They appeared in Rogue One flanking Krennic during the construction of the Death Star and later mowing down rebel forces during the Battle of Scarif. You don't see Death Troopers coming, and if you do, it's already too late. Number 6. First Order Stormtrooper. First Order, sequel trilogy. When the Galactic Empire fell, its ashes gave rise to the First Order. The name First Order was chosen by the Empire to signal a new beginning, a fresh start after the fall of Palpatine. Just like Phase 1 clone troopers were the first generation of the Republic's army, the First Order was the first generation of the Empire's rebirth. It didn't just bring stormtroopers back, they made them from scratch and turned them into weapons the Empire never could. These weren't volunteers, they were hostages in armor raised in sterile camps. Each soldier was stripped of identity and assigned alphanumeric designations like FN-2187. The First Order's training programs were brutal. From zero-gravity combat to psychological drills, every moment of their training was designed to erase fear and crush doubt. They were loyal not because they believed in the cause, but because they had no other reality. We meet these soldiers in The Force Awakens, most notably through FN-2187, better known as Finn. His first mission was a massacre on Jakku, which marked the start of his defection. The moment he realizes he's been trained to kill without a reason. This one break in loyalty showed us something rare. Humanity behind the mask, but make no mistake. Finn was the exception. The rest followed orders precisely. The First Order Stormtrooper isn't scary because they're ruthless. They're scary because they were never given a choice. They were engineered to be loyal, and yet one spark of doubt was enough to expose the entire system. Number 7. Sith Trooper, sequel trilogy. The First Order was already dangerous, but the Final Order was a proof that something ancient and terrifying was coming back. Not just another unit, but a direct line back to the dark side and the Sith themselves. Here's where it all ties together. The First Order was more than just the Empire 2.0, and the Sith Troopers were the next phase, the forces of the resurrected Emperor Palpatine. Unlike standard First Order soldiers, Sith Troopers were genetically loyal and trained from birth to worship the Sith. Each legion carried the name of a Sith Lord: Revan, Tenebris, Andidu, Zana, Plagueis, and more, not just for tradition, but as a tribute to the ancient darkside power. More importantly, they were part of Exegol's secret army. Thousands of hidden star destroyers, each with its own ground invasion force, waiting for the signal to burn the galaxy down and rebuild it in Palpatine's image. And when they finally deployed, they didn't come to occupy planets, they came to erase them. They fought with coordinated aggression more than any other trooper ever did. There is a debate on the true origin of the Sith Troopers, but whatever the truth is, they weren't just stormtroopers in red paint. They were the Sith's final blade.